Hey guys, it's Dottie again. I'm sitting here at the Kulttempel in Oberhausen. Besides me is the band MESH. Hi, first of all.
Hi, I'm Mark from MESH.
Hi, and I'm Rich.
And this was a really spontaneous
It was.
talk.
Yeah.
Peter from Kulttempel called me because we didn't know if we have time before the show.
Yeah.
And it's a rather funny story behind this show. It's in the afternoon. Maybe you can tell this in a few words. What happened?
Well, yeah. Well, so we did a show in Rotterdam last night, and obviously we got the Sunday free, so we decided to do an afternoon show, and so we can get home.
Yeah, it's just down to flights.
In time,
so
yeah,
it's
flights,
kind of, we need to
just
get back today, so
Yeah.
hence the
So that's been
afternoon
good.
show.
Yeah.
Cool. And it's a funny thing. And maybe to the people outside who never heard of MESH, what is your music all about? What do you do?
Ooh, it's a good question. It's kind of, I think we like to describe it as kind of alternative, dark electronic music. So it's kind of very, very melodic, but it's very kind of got a lot of dark undertones to it. And
It's based around songs, you know, and
very, very kind of
we-
song based.
You know, me and Rich really are synth heads. That's what we love. You know, that's what we've always loved. So we base everything around that, but at the same time, we like good songs. All the stuff that we have liked in the past has always been like good melodies and interesting sounds and stuff. So you know, that's what we're into really. So yeah.
And I think for people knowing the scene, you are one of the bigger acts. You can say it's one of the bands that are renowned.
Thank you very much.
It's taken a long time. Yeah.
You're around for more than 30 years now.
100 years, I think. That's what it feels like. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And we can't tell the whole story, but maybe you can, at least before we come to the present, tell 2 or 3 turning points of the story which have been really important to MESH.
I guess the big one was the fact that, you know, obviously when we first got together, we was trying to kind of establish ourselves and build a bit of a name, and then when we got signed to Sony Music, that was kind of a real big turning point for us. It was a case of, okay, we need to take this very seriously now. You know, we've got kind of a big label behind us, so it was going from just being kind of a small band to being on a major label. So I think that was one of the big turning points. Maybe it was a good thing, maybe not such a good thing, but it certainly was a big change for us, I think. So.
But I think, you know, just us meeting really, it was by chance. I mean, we live so close to each other, we never met each other before. Okay. So there was a lot of chance in that, really. Just like a poster that I saw somewhere of him playing, and I went down to see him. You know, that was a big thing. And I think when we sent a demo to a Swedish touring company, and that pretty much changed everything. Because then we weren't just a band in the studio. We were actually doing gigs. We were ready to do gigs, but that made the biggest difference for us. I mean, I think any young band now, they think they can make it by writing music in their room, and you need to get out and tour it. And I think that was a huge turning point for us. Because
it was our kind of gateway to Europe as well. We'd never really played outside of kind of small places in the UK. Then all of a sudden we kind of thrust into doing a Swedish tour and a Scandinavian tour, and then across to Germany. So it all kind of picked up from that, just sending a tape off once. So.
Yeah, but you know, it's boots on the ground. You need to get out and do it, and I think those were big things for us. Yeah.
And this brings us to the present, because you are on kind of a tour. It's a legacy tour.
Yeah.
I think the main part was in Britain, in your home, but you also have some dates here. You can tell a little bit. I've heard, for example, that many shows are sold out.
Yeah. I mean, it started from Vaughan, our new keyboard player. He said, you know, you should go out and just do some shows, showcasing all your stuff, you know, your old stuff, rather than it being based on a tour of an album. So yeah, we've done a few shows in the UK, and then obviously because they were kind of successful, we got asked to come over and do some here. So here we are. I mean, it's been really good. The response has been amazing. So yeah, I'm quite taken aback by it. You know, all the shows are selling out, you know, 3 months in advance for Berlin, which is like wow. You know, it's, you know, and it's a big venue. So.
And also your Kulttempel is sold out.
Yeah.
And Leipzig will be your biggest show. I think.
And that's nearly sold out.
Yeah,
it's getting very close.
That's a good venue for us to sell out. If it happens, it won't be long, I don't think. So.
And so that means the set is more like being from every part of your story.
We tried. It's difficult, isn't it?
Really,
you know?
yeah,
so
really
I mean,
hard.
there's those. It's like every big well, I say big band, every kind of known band, you have
Every
to
old
play.
band.
Old band, yeah. You have to play the ones that everybody wants, but we was trying to kind of spread it across the whole back catalogue a bit, you know, so we've tried our best.
And how did you discuss this? Which songs will come into the set and which not? Has there been any discussion?
Yeah, we just suggest things, and if that's a good idea, and you know, I mean, there's a lot of technical things behind. You know, if we decide to do a track, then there's not. We need to make sure the music's okay. There's video. It all has to be done, so it all has to be planned. So we can't just, you know, just say, "Oh, we'll do that and do that." And if somebody says, "Oh, can you play that?" We can't.
Yes, we can't do requests.
We can do something, but it's quite a big technical exercise. So we need to commit to the set quite a long way in advance to get it.
So one issue is maybe which synthesizers you take with you. For example, is this?
Well, it's a case of programming up in all the sounds beforehand. I mean, the synthesizers we kind of use are just all controllers, so all the sounds are in the laptops and things like this. So, you know, it's a lot of preparation in
Vaughan's
advance.
got Novation, hasn't he? So
Yeah.
Vaughan's got some stuff, but the Mac runs a lot of the plugins, and then you just control them with. You've got just a CLE controller, so yeah.
Okay, I see.
It's not so easy to bring loads of equipment every time, and
Yeah,
you know,
I
it's
think
a lot more flexible to use plugins live. I mean, that's not the way we write music, but you know, it's the way we have to do it live. It's just, you know, technically it's
at
very
least
difficult.
for such travels like Europe, I think it's
Yeah.
totally important to be
Yeah.
with low luggage.
Yeah. And then the other thing was the fact, like, you know, when we was choosing stuff from way back, old songs, you know, we thought, well, we need to kind of bring them up to date a bit, you know, maybe do a bit of reprogramming and finding new sounds to kind of bring them in line with what we're doing these days, if you know what I mean. So it doesn't sound too kind of old, if you know what I mean. So yeah, there was a lot of preparation for it, but yeah, all worth it so far.
Yeah.
Cool. And how have been the reactions so far on those shows before?
They've been really good.
It's been amazing, yeah.
Yeah, the UK shows were amazing. We done Glasgow, Manchester, and London, and yeah, the response was amazing. Really, really good, and yeah, it's kind of it's quite inspirational, really, to get out and do more shows. So.
You know, we've always been able to play in the UK, but it's, you know, it's obviously, you know, Europe, like Germany mostly, is where the core base is, but that seems to be changing quite a lot. So the UK now, because we've had a lot of support from people in the UK, you know, like radio stations and online stuff, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I mean, it's always, with us, it's always been the same. It's like a slow burn. You know, we were expecting it to go like that as we get older, and it just seems to be going like that, and it's just great, you know. It's a great thing.
Sounds like the prophet in its own land story, that in the past in Britain it was harder to, and now people realized that you're...
Yeah, I mean, the UK was always a very difficult market anyway, because it was very cliquey, and you know, this is what everyone's listening to now. It's never really been like that in Germany. You know, there's always been a support for all kinds of genres of music, so you can come here anytime and play. But the UK convincing promoters to take it on, you know, we've had some good promoters, but it's very, very difficult. That's changed. The internet's changed everything. You know, people can, you know, they go back to listening to what they wanted to listen to. They don't need to see it in the newspapers or the magazines. You know.
Yes. And I think Germany has the dark scene is special with the big festivals like Terra Luna.
Yeah, and again, that's not a thing in the UK, not really, you know.
Yeah, you've been to Terra Luna, for example, last year.
Yeah.
Maybe you shot throwback there. How was this show to you?
It was good. It was really good, actually. Yeah, it was come as a bit of a shock because I think the birthday party, birthday massacre. No, what are they called? No. Hang on, I'll get there in a minute. London after midnight. Sorry, I got there. Yeah, sorry.
Sorry. After midnight.
Yeah, they pulled out, and then we got the call and said, would we do the headline slot? And it was like, oh, okay, yeah. So yeah, it was good. But I mean, Marilyn has always been good to us. It's always been, you know, a really good festival. We've always done the kind of main stage and all this kind of stuff. So yeah,
it's so many people. It's scary. You know, you just can't. Can't see the end of it. It's really, it's a very strange experience, to be honest. Yeah. And then it's so over so fast, and you think, you know, and you're not sure it even happened. It's very weird. Yeah. But yeah, it's strange to play big audiences like that. When you know, but the audience has a horizon. Do you know what I mean?
It's just a sea of people and faces, and it's just like it is a very cool feeling, especially when they're singing your songs, and you know, it's quite an emotional.
And it's the first time we played in the dark as well, which was good because we had the screens and we had the lights and stuff like that.
I think
So
it's
the
just
show looked really good. Yeah.
on this festivals normally you play in the afternoon
You
or
play,
even
yeah.
in the evening. It's
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
daylight.
Yeah, we usually
yeah.
get the kind of 5 o'clock slot when it's still kind of light, you know. But
You know, it's not getting dark till 10 o'clock. Do you know what I mean? So you have to be the main band on the main stage really to play in the dark. You know, so that was nice to do that. Yeah.
Totally understand. I've been after show DJ, so
Yeah.
it was a big experience to me as well.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
To see all those people.
yeah.
Normally I'm in clubs like this,
Yeah.
Oh, right.
and you see everyone and can talk to everyone, and they're
Yeah.
You a bit like this then?
was cool. But back to you. I've seen you are selling some special thing today. Some synthesizer?
My keyboard.
Keyboard.
Yeah. Okay, right. There's a story behind it. So I've had this keyboard since 2007, and it's always just been used for touring, and it's always been so good. But it was just getting to the point where we thought, well, perhaps we need to kind of update it. And then I got convinced yesterday by the crew. They said, just sign it and let it go and see if anybody wants it. So hence it's there today for somebody to take away and do something with it. I don't know what they would want to do with it, but yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
For fans, this is highlight. I think.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
Like,
it's
like
kind of-
getting a guitar from Keith Richards.
yeah, maybe not quite that good. But
Somehow for your hardcore
yeah.
fans.
yeah, no, that'd be
This
nice.
is cool. Yeah, great. And for people outside, just don't wonder, they are preparing soundcheck for you, so
Yeah.
there's a little bit of noise in the background.
Yeah, that's
This is on.
This is live. This is
Live,
this
yeah.
is the real thing. Yeah.
And we have to talk about what's coming next, because your last release was, I think, the live DVD.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the last one.
So we could talk about this, but I think this is not current anymore.
No.
But some rumors have been that you are working on new material. Is
Yeah.
it like that? So
Yeah,
Yeah.
well,
what can you tell?
It's not a rumour. So we are working on things.
Yeah.
You know, we got a few things on the go. A couple of songs we're kind of pretty much nearly there,
Yeah.
and for a
Three
few
now,
bits throwing around and kind of starting to work.
So we're going to do one tonight. See how it goes. So yeah, we've
I
done
would
it.
have asked that, yes. So
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the name of that song? So I can.
Not everyone is lonely. It's called at the moment. We don't know for definite, but that's
Okay, so like a working title.
Yeah.
yeah.
And maybe you can tell at least about this song, what it's all about, the story, the lyrics.
Yeah, it's a tricky one, really. Yeah, but it just, I don't know, just some people I know think that, you know, there's kind of no hope, and, you know, they're always going to be alone and things like that, and it's kind of about that, really. Look, there are people that are happy out there. It's got an unusual direction for me, but yeah, so it's a hopeful song, but it feels a little sad, but it's a nice song. I really like it.
So,
Yeah.
did the pandemic change your way of writing, for example? Or did you write in that time for some material?
I don't know.
I think we had a bit of a break, really, didn't we?
We did, yeah. I think, yeah.
You know, we've been doing this a long time, and we've just done album after album
Yeah.
after album, and then toured it, and it's quite hard work, and you need a bit of time to kind of.
And I think
know-
with time with the internet as well, it's like, you know, in the beginning, obviously you would have a studio and you'd work together, and then you kind of, you know, Mark had a little studio and I had a studio, and then you would get together and work on stuff, and it's got to a point where he works on stuff and I work on stuff, and it's ridiculous that we live so close yet we're sending things backwards and forwards, and rather than actually meeting and working on things together, which, you know, perhaps we should revisit, because it's probably a better way of doing it. But yeah, you know, it's kind of
But, I mean,
just how it is.
that time was a big time for everyone. I think, you know, I think a lot of people started working from home, spend a lot more time in the house, go out less, and you reevaluate, you know, how you use your time. I think, you know, but I mean, it certainly gave me a lot of time to think about, you know, the way I was working and equipment, and just trying to maybe reset everything. Do you know what I mean? And have a little think about, you know, the way to write songs and the way to move forward, because we need to do something different, you know. And you know, it was quite a useful thing, really, I think.
So is there can you tell about the difference now? What went different, or what you are doing different, or is it not explainable?
It's just. I mean, I think I've grown to appreciate the songwriting side of things a lot more. You know, spend less time on sounds and more time on the track, the song, and then come back to the sounds and then rebuild it around the song. We've always kind of done it like that, but sometimes you get a bit distracted, and I think I've sort of learned to, you know, not to sit down and mess around with synthesizers for 4 hours, you know, and then you come out with nothing, you know, and that's the problem. And the trouble is we're both the same, you know. It's like we like the synthesizers, and songwriting's hard. So you take, you know, you take the messing around rather than, you know, so maybe being a bit more disciplined and, you know, better use of your time, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Totally understand. I told Bea on the way here that I would like to have, for example, the keyboard, but I totally don't have any clue of playing synthesizer or stuff. I would always do like sounds, this sound cool, this, and there would never come a song out of this, maybe.
And that is exactly, you know, that is exactly the problem. I think a lot of people think this is a really cool sound. This is going to sound great, but it doesn't ever come to anything, or it's not a song that people remember because it's a sound.
Yeah. The whole kind of key thing is the song, and we've always thought that, you know. So I don't think that'll ever change. Yeah. You know, it's down to, you know, you can strip a song down and play it on a piano or a guitar, and it always sounds good because it's a good song. You know, the whole production side of it is an additive that makes it better. But you know, if you strip it down, it's still there. It's still good.
If you listen to some of the really early stuff we've done, you know, the production, we did it ourselves. We didn't really know what we were doing. But you remember the song, and then when you go back and listen to the song again, you think, well, the production's not very great on that. But you don't remember the production; you just remember the song. You know, and that's the good thing about these tools. You know, you can do the production again, but essentially the song's the same. You know, I mean, if you build a song around a sound, that sound is always going to be like that, you know. So,
totally understand. But not being a fanboy, but I have to say one of your strengths was always having good melodies, having good songs. Not only sounding good. You sound good, but
I think that's to do with, certainly for me, is all the things you listened to when you were growing up. You know, it might have been my mum and dad's influence on kind of music they would play, and it would all been, you know, big choruses and big kind of melodies and things like that. And maybe I've kind of taken that, and certainly Mark's taken it, and we put it into what we do today. So although it's kind of got a dark undertone, and we're kind of linked with this whole gothy, industrial kind of electronic sound, it's still got a good melody in there, you know, to kind of people to
you know, I think
catch hold of.
The genre that we seem to be popular in are kind of, they like emotional music, you know, and we're not, you know, it's not a great example. We're not generally dressed in black, you know, but you know, we can headline, you know, Wave Gothic or something like that, and you know, we're not Gothic people, but the sentiment. We share that sentiment of, you know, songwriting and emotion, and you know, trying to write something that means something. You know, and they see past the fact that we don't look like them. You know, and that's always
it's just
nice.
that whole kind of like Mark said, but the emotional thing, and so many people. I mean, you know, nearly everybody says, you know, I get goosebumps listening to it, or it means so much to me, and they interpret it as part of their lives and things like that. And you just think, I couldn't ask for anything better than that. You know, that to me is the best kind of compliment you'll ever get, if it means that much to somebody. So so that's the kind of plan, really. You know, and I can feel it. Like Mark sometimes send me something, and I'll get it, and I'll think, this is good. This is going to be really cool. You know, and that's what it's all about. I think it's trying to create that emotion and that kind of whole sentiment within the whole thing. You know, so.
I think this is a perfect conclusion to this interview. We have to stop because we really have to do some project. I think we could talk another hour. But
I told you we can talk.
Next time.
We do.
For today, maybe you have some free speech, some greetings to people outside. Something you want to tell?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I'd just like to thank everybody who's coming to these shows. It really does mean a lot to us, and it's just a kind of big show of gratitude. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the support.
Yeah.
So thank you for the nice talk.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks, sir.
Thank you guys for watching, and I say bye. Cheers.
Bye.
Cheers.